Hey everybody, welcome back. Let's talk about finder's fees. In particular, how you can make money with finder's fees. I always say it's not really that hard working the work. What's hard is getting the work. If you can get work, if you can generate projects, you can always find somebody to work the work. So if you generate work, if you generate new clients, new business, for you or for other people, you deserve to get paid. So what are finder's fees? Well, simply, finder's fees are when you get paid for sending other people work. Essentially, it's a legal agreement to get paid a percentage of whatever their billable fees are if you send them project work. So for example, I had a client who was a celebrity chef and she needed some PR work done. My agency doesn't do PR, but I know a lot of people who do. So I made an arrangement with a PR consultant that if she was put on retainer to do work for my client, that I would receive a percentage of her billable fees. So she did the work, but I get a percentage. So when do you use a finder's fee? Generally, you use them when you have developed a piece of business or a project or have a client who needs something that you don't do. You need to find someone who does it. And because that external vendor that you're going to hook them up with is essentially getting work completely out of the blue, they are paying you for the privilege of having work served up to them. Now, if you do know the vendor that you're referring the work to pretty well, you can do one of three things. You can either refer the work to them for free, which is good karma, and that's the way partnerships work sometimes, or good relationships between different types of service providers work. You can just forward them that work and not expect a finder's fee. But you could also have them do the work through you. So essentially work under the banner of your agency or your creative professional business and act as a subcontractor, and you will manage the project and bill the client, and they will do the work through you. Or you can use a finder's fee, and they will do the work independently, interact with the client directly, and just pay you a percentage of what their billable rates are. So how do you set up a finder's fee agreement? Well, you start with a conversation between you and the vendor that you want to give the work to. You say, look, I have this piece of business. It's work that I don't do. I'd love to forward you this piece of business. It's going to be a great billable project for you. You didn't have to go out and find it. Would you be willing to engage in a finder's fee agreement with me? If they say yes, that's fantastic. Then you go to the legal form process. If they say no, that's cool too. You don't have to give them the business. Go out and find someone who is willing to engage in a finder's fee with you. If they say yes, what you have to do is you have to work with a lawyer, or there are downloadable contracts free online that stipulate the terms of a finder's fee. It generally names the parties involved, so the client, who the project is from, the vendor who you're talking to, and you, who's going to get paid a percentage of those fees. It lays out the terms of the agreement, so the percentage that you're going to get paid. Generally, this ranges anywhere from 10 to 20%. It also lays out the time or the cadence, how often you will be paid, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever that is, and then also the duration of the length of the contract. Is this going to be in effect for 6 months, 12 months, a year? All these things are negotiable between you and the vendor that you're giving that piece of work to. Now, there's something else that you should be aware of too, and that's called a non-compete agreement. And these work very much in the same way, but slightly differently. Generally, here's an example. You use a partner on a project that you're doing. Your client needs some video editing. So you bring in a subcontractor who's going to do that video editing for your client. You hire them as a partner, and then they work under the name of your agency. They work under your agency banner. But they get introduced to the client during that project and may have interactions directly with that client. A non-compete agreement is a contract that says, essentially, I'm going to give you exposure to my client and you're going to work this project with me, but you can't then go around me and work with the client directly and get paid directly. You're going to work through my agency. The work has to go through you and your agency. So you can make some money. You end up marking up their work of that partner of yours and including it in the project that you're doing for your client. There usually is a duration set out for this contract. It can be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. After that period of time, when the contract lapses, your subcontractor is allowed to work with that client directly, or that client can go to your subcontractor directly and they can work without you being involved. But a non-compete agreement will set out a period of time where your subcontractor can't work with your client directly and essentially cutting you out of that process. The pros of finder's fee agreements are pretty significant, both for you and for the company or vendor that you find to be able to do the work. It basically comes down to the fact if you can find some work, you get paid, whether you can do that work or not. It's mutually beneficial. The vendor that you're forwarding the work to is going to get more work. They're going to be happy. They're just going to have to pay you a percentage of what they make. And generally, they're happy to do it. Now, there are some cons to finder's fee agreements. They take a level of trust in the vendor that you're forwarding the work to because you're not going to have direct visibility to the work they are doing for that client or what ultimately their billable rates have been. So you have to have a level of trust that they are going to return the payment to you, which is the percentage that you are due as a finder's fee for the work that they're doing from that client. It's kind of sometimes notoriously hard to track, and you may have to chase down payment. You may have to get back in touch with that vendor and say, hey, did you ever do work for that client I forwarded? And if so, what were the billable rates? And can you forward me my finder's fee? For example, when I had that celebrity chef and I put her in touch with a PR person, the good news is that I had a very good relationship with my client, the celebrity chef. So I was able to ask her, hey, did you ever engage with that PR person, and if so, how long have you been working with her, and how much was she charging you? You may not have the freedom with the client to get that kind of information. You may have to rely on the vendor to have them tell you and report back about the work that they've done for that client that you forwarded them. So that's the downside of finder's fee agreements. Now keep in mind that no one has to engage in finder's fee agreements. If it's uncomfortable for you, then you don't have to do it. But for the most part, people are more than willing to do it because they're happy to get work totally out of the blue, and they're more than happy to pay you a percentage of that work because they didn't have to do the work in getting it. And a lot of times, they are then setting up a long-term relationship with that external client, and you're only going to be getting paid a percentage for a period of time, not the entire engagement. It's a mature and it's an upstanding way of doing business, and it protects you legally. It also sets clear expectations around your relationships with whatever business partners that you are forwarding work to. And it limits conflicts and resentments when it comes to sharing work and sharing clients between companies and agencies. And it protects you and it protects your business relationships. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how you can make money with finder's fees. And if you did, please hit subscribe below so you can see my videos when they come out. Hit that notifications bell so you can get alerted when I post something new or when I go live. And visit me at philipvandusen.com. If you need help with your brand strategy, your brand design, or your professional creative career, make sure to reach out to me and let's see what we can do to take you to the next level. And with that, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.